To this day.
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 What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunched Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Eddie Hearn. Get this. Eddie Hearn has received legal threat from the UFC after unseen press conference. Wow. Hearn held a Zoom meeting, a Zoom call in 2020 between top heavyweights Francis Ngannou and Dillian Whyte, and was shortly sent a legal letter from the UFC. And it reads, Eddie Hearn has revealed how the UFC sent him a legal letter after hosting a press conference between these two fighters. UFC heavyweight champion Ngannou has openly discussed his plans to compete in boxing and fight heavyweight stars such as Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Hearn revealed how during the first UK lockdown due to COVID-19 pandemic, he was trying to produce content for his The Talk show with retired boxer Tony Bellew. And he says, quote, "I'll tell you a funny story about Francis Ngannou." Hearn told Ariel on the MMA Hour, "During the pandemic, when you did our show, I was doing loads of stuff on Zoom and trying to create content. The UFC sent Eddie Hearn this letter, and it says, I read, Francis Ngannou wanted to be a boxer, so I got in touch with his team because he had a little bit of beef with Dillian Whyte, nothing major. He said, I got in touch with his team, and I said, let's do a Zoom. You, me, and Dillian Whyte, just bored. They've agreed to it. Next thing, I'm on a Zoom with Dillian Whyte and Francis Ngannou, basically going at it. Then word got back to UFC that I've done ultimately a press conference to promote a fight, but I wasn't even thinking. But the UFC boss, Dana White, caught wind of the situation. Hearn admitted then that he overstepped the mark by holding a call between the two heavyweights. Dana messaged me and said, what are you doing? You've done a press conference with Francis Ngannou and Dillian Whyte. And I'm like, it wasn't really a press conference. It was a Zoom, he continued. When are your, he said, then I got a legal letter from the UFC to say that you can't be putting this out. They were 1,000,000% right. But at the time I was thinking this is massive. I think Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou versus AJ are huge fights. Ngannou fought out of the UFC contract last month when he outpointed Gain to make his first defense of the heavyweight title. The Predator and Fury have been calling each other out. The Gypsy King even challenged Ngannou to a 4-ounce UFC boxing glove match. Wow. Let me counterpunch. I had no idea of this. I had no idea that Dana White came that hard. And again, it was the pandemic. People really didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if the world was going to end. We didn't know if just everybody got sick and people died. We didn't know where anything was going. All we knew is everybody was worried, scared in their house, frustrated or whatever, looking for stuff to do. And I think Eddie Hearn tried to capitalize on it. Okay? And he did. But unfortunately, that's the stipulations of having a monopoly with the UFC. Dana White, it's a good and bad thing, okay? For one, he can orchestrate fights. But for two, he can orchestrate what his fighters do and what they can't do, okay? And what Francis Ngannou, breaching contract, could not go to another platform and solicit any type of proposed fighting anyone outside the UFC. See, if Eddie Hearn would have been anywhere near the UFC or in the same platform, it might have been a little different, but that's still promoter to promoter. And Dana White is different than a promoter. He's also a president. So not only he has rights to that guy, which was Francis at the time, he could have sued Eddie Hearn, and Eddie knew it. But that just shows you, though, on the real, it just shows you the concern of Dana White and the insecurities of him losing his fighter to another platform. But what ultimately happened? He lost his fighter to another platform. Francis Ngannou, we seen him training with Teddy Atlas. He didn't go to Teddy Atlas and say, why you training with this boxing coach for? You can't do that. You're still a UFC fighter, right? I know that's a little different, but still, that's like him saying that to Eddie Hearn, basically. Because no contracts have been signed. It's last I knew that America was a free country and then you could do what you want. You could say what you want. I mean, Tyson Fury went over to fight the WWE's guys, Strongmeyer or something, Strohmeyer, right? So nobody really tripped on that. You know what I'm saying? But then yet you have a problem with one of your fighters going to just having a conversation on a damn Zoom call. That shows that, for one, Dana White is a control freak. He wants to control everything, right? And he can legally do it. He could legally do that, and he did that. But the problem was the way he acted on it. Not only did he tell Eddie Hearn you couldn't do it, he sent legal, documentation to Eddie to let Eddie know, like, hey, don't do that again. Why? Because he was afraid of losing his fighter. But the irony of it is, the Counterpunched people, he lost his damn fighter. Right? Francis Ngannou always wanted to be a boxer. I think, honestly, he would have made a lot more money. We would have just very well be soon talking about Francis Ngannou versus Deontay Wilder, or Ortiz, or Joshua Francis Ngannou. And of course, we're talking about Tyson Fury versus Ngannou. So that could have been a lot of different things. It could have been someone else in the pot, or Francis Ngannou takes on Joe Joyce, or Jarrell Miller. You know what I'm saying? So, like, those type of things could have happened for him. But hey, better late than never, right? You guys tell me what you think of Hearn saying that he was threatened to be sued by Dana White because of this particular Zoom call with Francis Ngannou and Dillian the Body Snatcher White. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunched. Peace.